Good evening. Let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna try to make this as short as I can, but I have a problem sometimes of rambling on a little bit, so I'm just gonna try to boil this down into a few things. As you guys know, I wanted to put some videos together to help you better understand what you should be looking for in the people that want your vote. The things that you should be looking for when somebody throws out that word leadership. We'll see it in the newspaper. They'll talk about it to you. They'll send something out in the mail that says vote for me because I have proven leadership. And I want you guys to understand what that means, because this word gets thrown around so often, even from critics saying he calls himself a leader, they call themselves a blah, blah, blah. It can go on and on and on forever. Nobody really understands what that word means. So a few years ago, as I stated before, I wrote a little article about what leadership is. And it can be broken down into three main subjects: knowledge, confidence, and empathy. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of those subjects in separate videos. And this one is about knowledge. Now, knowledge itself can be broken down into three separate categories all by itself. Knowledge is based and developed by past experiences, the ability to learn, the ability to process new information. But the one thing that keeps getting forgotten about knowledge is the desire to learn new things. You can't call yourself a knowledgeable person unless you're willing to do everything it takes to learn about your subject matter. And that's where knowledge, I think knowledge gets mistaken sometimes with education, which is another point. I don't want you guys to be associating those two things together. Knowledge and education are two totally different things, totally different concepts. They work in concert with each other, but they do not define one or the other. And what I mean by that, or the point I'm trying to make, is I've heard from some people, wherever you go, they want to make qualifications for council candidates. And one of those is having a certain education level. I would like to caution you against that. Don't let that become an accepted norm. Education can be a double-edged sword at times. And I want you guys to understand that once you put qualifications on a public servant, then that kind of narrows down who you can vote for, what kind of person you can vote for, what kind of leader you can vote for, into a really concentrated group of people. So I want to just take that away and say that right now, and we're just going to go back and focus on knowledge, and we'll talk about those three things that make up your knowledge base. So past experiences, we all know that you learn things as you go. You learn things coming up, whatever it is you're doing, you learn things as you go. Past experience develops knowledge of a subject, right? The ability to process new information. You only know what you know up to now, up to today, up to a certain point. If you have experience driving a car, you have knowledge of the car that you've learned to drive up until today. You have no idea what you're going to be driving tomorrow. You have no idea what you're going to be driving 20 years from now. The cars that you have driven your life up to today gives you the experience and knowledge of those vehicles, right? So the ability to process new information, that's right now today. Let's say all of these cars that you drove throughout your life, let's say tomorrow you're handed the keys to a different type of car. Let's say you're a Chevy guy. You only know Chevy trucks. You've only driven Chevy trucks since you were 10 years old, and you drove those all the way up until today. So you have knowledge based on your experience of Chevy trucks throughout your life up until right now. Let's say tomorrow you are handed the keys to a brand new Mercedes. Now, those brand new Mercedes have a whole bunch of things in there that you need to learn about before you can drive the car. Now, you may have knowledge of driving and knowledge of the basic concept of a vehicle because you've driven a Chevy truck for your whole life, but you don't have any knowledge on this particular car because you have no experience with it. So the ability to process new information, you have to get in that car, you have to open up the manual, you have to learn about all the safety features, how to work the radio, how to turn the heater on. All of these things you have to learn before you can be comfortable driving that car. And once you are comfortable driving it, you've just opened up your knowledge level a little bit more. Up again, remember, up until that point in time. So before you can drive safely on that car, you have to learn some things. You have to learn how to do it. You have to process this new information in a timely manner that helps you better understand that vehicle. So even though you've driven a Chevy truck for 30 years, 40 years, you're handed the keys to a brand new Mercedes, you have to learn and process new information about that car before you can even put it into drive and head down the road. Now, the desire to learn new information, I think, is the biggest form of knowledge that nobody really understands. So let's say you have all of the knowledge and experience of Chevy trucks. You've processed the new information from this Mercedes. Now it can be easy to go from point A to point B. You're going from your house to the store. All you really need to know is how to put that car into drive and get it down to the store and then back again, right? But let's say you want to take it on a trip and you want to learn everything there is to know about all of the features in that car, how to roll down the windows, how to turn on the automatic headlights, how to make your rain sensing windshield work. You have to have the desire to want to learn how to drive that car to its highest ability, to your highest ability. So that is the desire to learn new things. That is what's going to make you a better driver. Not just learning about that, not just being content with knowing Chevy trucks inside and out. It's the ability to understand that you can take a new car, process that information, learn about it, and then get the most, and have a plan and a goal to get the most out of it in the future, because that's your desire. You want to learn everything about this car. Now, when I talk about knowledge as it relates to leadership, and let's just take tribal council members as the example here, because that's what we're talking about. Council members are responsible for a whole bunch of things. They're responsible for the culture of their people. They're responsible for the day-to-day operations of their people and health and wellness of their people. But they're also responsible for the future of people that haven't even been born yet. And that past experience gives them knowledge of the past and of their people. The ability to process new information allows them to see dynamics within the organization and the world and the state and other governmental entities coming in and adapting to those changes and taking new information in, making the best decisions for right now for the health and wellness of their people, and then the desire to learn everything they can about what is going to affect future generations. And that's the most important thing for me, is understanding that your grandchildren who may not have been born yet, someday are going to have grandchildren of their own. The decisions that are made today based off of past experience, using their ability to process new information and the desire to learn about the things that haven't even happened yet, are going to give your grandchildren's grandchildren a future and a place in this world. That is knowledge. Now, as we can, again, we're going to go back to how it denotes to tribal council members and how you can apply this when they say leadership and they're out there asking for your vote. Knowledge. Let's take you people. Okay, that's what we're talking about. I'm you. I'm worried about my people back home, and this is why I'm making this video. When I talk about knowledge, I'm talking about the people running for council that have no idea what it means to be Ute, what it means to be Nuchu, to go out and interact with other people in our sister tribes, Toyac, Fort Duchesne. They don't know anybody. They don't know anything. They've never been to any of our dances, any of our ceremonies. There's a reason, culturally speaking, the things that make us Ute are what our leadership and our council members need to exude from themselves. They need to know what it means to be Ute. They need to know why Bear Dance starts in the springtime. When do we bring those songs out? They need to know at least a little bit of history of the language and of the people. They need to understand where we used to roam, 1,000 years ago. All of these things. I've seen too many times where council members equate their membership, council members equate themselves being native as going down to the stand during a powwow and getting a fry bread burger. It's embarrassing, okay? Your council members need to have knowledge of their culture. Most important, knowledge of their culture, because they have to equate past experiences with what? With the ability to process new information and make those things work together. Past experiences in a culturally traditional sense of the word, mixing those with new information. We want the state is going to come in and they want to do this. The federal government wants to come in and they want to do this because this is 2020, right? We have to advance, and that's fine. But those things can be integrated together, and all of that is going to be seen in their desire for learning new information about how all of these things are going to interact and react and, affect future generations. That is what I'm talking about when somebody says leadership. This is what I'm thinking of. Why do they call themselves a leader? Why do they think they're knowledgeable? What are they knowledgeable in? This is different than a supervisor at work. Let's say you're in construction. I'm in the construction industry. Your boss, your supervisor, has to have knowledge of the work that you're doing. He has to process new information that comes in. Maybe there's a new survey GPS unit that he needs to use for the next job. He needs to learn that unit, that tool, based off of his past experience and his knowledge. Learn how to use that tool and assimilate new information to be able to lay out the job and get it done in a timely manner so that they can make some money. That's what a supervisor does, right? It's no different than what your council member does, but your council member is doing it for the entire tribe, and not just the membership, but for employees. Employees of the tribe have to rely on those council members to make correct decisions for a governmental entity in order for the government to work for the people. So it's a lot more going on than just saying, vote for me. I can sit in a few meetings. I can sign a few papers. They have to understand how all of these pieces work with each other. And that's what's going to bring them knowledge. When they have an intimate relationship with their subject matter, that right there in a big envelope sense is knowledge. Having an intimate relationship with your subject matter. You have to be able to understand who you are based off of who your people are and were, how to navigate that in a world that's constantly changing now, and the desire to learn everything there is to go along the way, the desire to learn new things, to figure out new ways of doing things, to make things more efficient. We can try this and this and this and see what kind of effect that does. Learn about it, understand it. That's knowledge, an intimate relationship with your subject matter. So, moving on, that's just the first part of these videos that I'm going to make. Try to understand what this word means and how it relates to what people are telling you about their leadership roles. Anyone in the world can say, I'm a good leader. I have proven leadership experience. Okay, what kind of leadership experience? Remember what I said. Good leaders do all the same things well. Bad leaders do all the same things bad. So what kind of leadership experience do they have? It's a lot more than just having a few employees or running a program here and there. Were they successful at it? Talk to their employees. Did their employees enjoy their time with that person? Do they have anything bad to say? Was their program successful? Was their program bad? And then ask, why was it successful? Why was it bad? Tell these people, ask them, what is your leadership experience? Tell me, what have you led? What have you done to make something better for your people? Because that's what you're voting for. You're voting for somebody to make something better for your people, for your future, for the grandchildren's grandchildren that have never even been born yet. Okay? And this is just the first video. Like I said before, what I'm going to do on every successive video when I break down confidence and empathy, and those will be shorter, by the way. This is probably the longest one. But when I make those videos, I'm going to post this one in the comments along with that new video. So again, talk to your candidates, go seek them out. If they're not coming to you, seek them out, ask them questions, get to know exactly what they're talking about when they talk about leadership. Because the things that I'm giving you, these subject matters, if they don't delve into some of that stuff, you need to walk away, or you need to bring it up and ask them. Either one, it's up to you. But remember, intimate relationship with their subject matter, which means you, the people, the Nuchu, all of those things they need to understand and how they work together. That's knowledge. All right. Let me know what you think. Like I said before, no bad comments there, or they're getting deleted. Peace.